I wanna ask y'all a question.
Yeah, let's do it. No, you do it. Go.
What do you prefer? Or I guess a better way to put it would be like, do photographers ever get in your way? Are we ever annoying?
This
You're
is
like,
really
please
okay.
stop.
Ready?
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to the Ozark Mix Podcast. Here are your hosts, Jonathan Ravel and Russ Collins.
On today's podcast, we have one of our friends, Justin Palmer, who is an international wedding photographer and one of Jonathan Ravel's best friends. So, dude, I'm so freaking glad. This is our first episode with someone who is not a DJ, Justin, and you get our life because we hang out in the same places, wedding venues and all the things. But Rev, I'm gonna toss it to you because you know Justin way better than me.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to have you in the studio, dude. This is just like a dream, dude.
So this guy was basically my best man in my wedding, and he shot all the photos and they were fabulous. Like everything he does is incredible work. So if you need a photographer, hit up Justin Palmer.
That's right.
He'll make it great.
That's right.
But I kind of wanted to dive into, like photographers and DJs, we live in this same world where photographers providing pictures, we're providing music, and kind of dealing with this technology aspect of backups and redundancies, and weddings are such a big deal. I kind of wanted to look at what photographers do that kind of fit in the DJ world, and how, from your perspective, DJs could do a better job at weddings in general, and like what you've seen that's like no-nos, because DJs are setting up lighting and sometimes it throws off pictures bad. Sure. So like, what are your thoughts on that?
I will say that most of the time it's fine, like with lighting and everything, but I do run into occasional where a DJ will turn on their lights for like a first dance or like father-daughter dances, and it's like, we need all that off because we don't need purple people and green people on the floor. So typically I'll ask to turn all that off once first dances and everything are done and like dinner's over. Yeah, man, just dim the lights.
Yeah.
Blast everybody with your laser beam.
So basically what he's saying is, don't use your wash lighting during any formal special dances. Yeah, like just let the room.
We can only do so much.
Dude, we were talking a couple of weeks ago and we were making fun of our first lighting setup. I used this thing called the gig bar, and it's got this laser on the top. And the first, we have a mutual friend, Miles Whit Boyer. I was doing a wedding with Miles, and the first thing that he said to me, he said, "Turn that laser off. Don't ever have that laser on."
Turn them off,
because he could see it. He saw, and I didn't have it on. I was like, "Okay, bro, I promise I won't." And how Miles is. He's like very direct. But I learned really quick, like zero DJ lights on while the photographer is around.
People end up with just green dots all over them, and it's like, okay,
this is bad.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
It's not good.
Yeah. Well, can you talk a little bit about progression technology-wise, like what you started with, kind of nerd out on gear?
Gear?
Yeah, because a lot of DJs, we're shooting content also and using cameras and settings, and all that's kind of over my head.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like get into gear like super deep. I'm not pretty knowledgeable about it, but it's not something I really like hover around that much. But like right now I'm shooting Leica and Nikon gear. I would say
Leica? What's that?
That's like super high end, man. We're
I've never heard of
super
that.
high end person. So this doesn't surprise me.
So they're just a company out of Germany that make like these really small mirrorless cameras.
Okay.
And it's great to have. I typically shoot with 3 different focal lengths, so I don't have to swap lenses and everything like that. So I can use basically 2 cameras on a harness, and then I can have like 1 wide angle lens here. It takes away that like mental fog of like, oh, I need to change this lens, or I need this, or where's my bag, or anything like that, and it's all here. So
that's cool.
That's what I've been using with that.
You do look like you're like a saddle packing when I see you. Yeah. Justin's like an octopus, man. He's like,
I like to just have all my stuff.
But it's awesome, dude.
It just keeps you on the, like, we're always moving. Like, and it just, I don't want to be carrying around like a bag with all my gear in it. And it's just like, I'd rather have it all here and go from there.
My favorite thing when I see wedding photographers is like the leather harness with all the clips. And I'm like, this is such a specialized thing that's like, has a good, like, it does a good job. You need that so you're not dropping stuff on the ground.
Shout out to Holdfast.
Let's go, Holdfast.
Holdfast
Dave
gear,
Swagger,
man.
everybody.
Yeah, they were kind of like the pioneers with all of that. And they're actually just, I think, out of Oklahoma.
They're in Tulsa. Did you know,
really?
dude, here's a crazy story.
Yeah.
I was Gabe's RA.
Oh, for real?
In college. It's for real. He doesn't even know me. He doesn't like first of all, he was never on campus. So he was supposed to be in his room and he wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gabe Swagger, dude.
That's legit.
And he was just like, what I love about your story, y'all have a similar story, is he just like picked up a camera one day, started shooting and became passionate about it, figured out that content was his thing.
Yeah.
And then he was like, well, dude, I need a thing, I need something.
Yeah.
And so that's what that's how he started.
That guy, there's a lot of people that have come through and tried to make like kind of knockoffs of it, but that is the best. I still have like the original one that he like put out there. And I think it's probably like 8 or 9, 10 years old now.
That's crazy.
And it's still rocking.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Quality's amazing.
So you shoot with 3 different cameras, you were saying, so that you can stay efficient.
Yep. So, but yeah, as far as like gear goes, man, it's all good at this point. It's just kind of whatever feels good to you. Like you got the big 3, Canon, Nikon, and Sony. Like they're all good. I would say that some are better like video cameras.
Yeah.
But even then, that gap's closing. They're all good. If you're creating good content, like you can't blame it on the camera anymore.
One thing I've been looking at, I wanted to ask you your opinion, is like a big thing in the DJ world is these gig logs where you kind of vlog the whole like setup and then ceremony, the whole day, like, and then condense it down to like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I've seen these DJI little stick like selfie cameras that like flip and all that. What do you think about that?
I think they're good. They're kind of like I feel like there's not that many DJI type of companies out there besides like GoPro.
Yeah.
But I do think that DJI definitely like running the show with the smaller cameras and drones.
I think it's cool. They sell like this creator package that gives you the little mic that you can clip on and it syncs automatically with the stick and like you're just going.
And I think that DJI, they acquired Hasselblad too. I'm pretty sure they picked them up, and so that is their tech that they have is awesome.
What's the deal with that? Like, why is that so cool?
Hasselblad's like a very I would probably put them in kind of like the same realm as like a Leica. Like it's very niche, but they've been around for maybe the longest.
Oh, really?
They've been around for a long time, and they're really big for the medium format group. So they've got a lot of really big like medium format film cameras, like all that kind of stuff. So
dang,
yeah,
DJI, dude. I lived in about a year's worth of learning how to be a drone pilot.
Yeah,
and these are things that no one cares about, but I shot real estate photography back in the day. So like my buddy had a real estate photography company and he was renting like these scissor lifts to get these high shots. And I'm like, dude, you can buy a drone. We'll buy it. And of course, me, the entrepreneur, I'm like, I'm gonna freaking buy one. I'm gonna be a real estate drone guy. I got my license. I went all in, bro. And so my first was one of those Phantom 3 Pros, bro.
Yeah, man.
And I literally almost cut my finger off the first time I was using it because I was like messing with the propellers.
Is that the one where you still attached a GoPro to the bottom of it?
No, it was just past that one. So
I had that one and like I stuck a GoPro to the bottom of it and I was like, this can't work. And like we would fly it up and it worked, but then they came out with the built-in. I was like, okay, now they're ready.
Dude, it was awesome. It was shot in RAW, camera raw, like, dude. And I mean, Josh was flipping about it. Like, so I pretty much made enough money to pay myself back for the drone. And then we moved. And so I was like,
that's awesome.
I'm out. But I love the progression of like where things are going. But you said something even just a second ago. It's like, what we're learning is that it's not the gear anymore. No, it's the story.
It's the story. It's the people. It's the interactions between the groups that you're with and capturing those like kind of in between moments. It's like we can all kind of pose people and put them in like certain directions, but like you can't make up like fake interactions. Like you can make it up, but you can't. It's hard to produce real.
Yeah.
Or like fake real. I guess is a better way to put it. But
so how have you like developed that over time? Like, cause I'm sure like when you first started, you were just like, okay, get in this spot.
Yeah, I think first like building a relationship with the people that you're shooting. I think that's really important, and everyone kind of being on board together with what we're creating, and just having them trust you. So like typically at a wedding, like I really kind of coach people in a sense of like, you're gonna do what you've always done. We're just gonna put you in good light doing that. I'll give some like direction and everything like that, but I don't want to just like overly pose everybody, and because then it just seems so fake.
Yeah.
And you can see it.
Yeah.
We're all like so social media now. It's like we know what's fake. We know what looks real. Like you can pick it out pretty quick. So yeah, I really lean towards like trying to have like authentic moments, where we're giving a little bit of direction, but not over.
Well, you were saying, sorry, do you want to ask?
I got to tell y'all the story.
Let's go.
About how I met this guy and stuff that we were into growing up.
Oh my gosh.
So
dude.
I was born and raised in Fort Smith, which is like an hour south of here. And then I moved to Bentonville, and we were into car audio. So putting big subwoofers and speakers in our SUVs. He had a Tahoe. I had like a Lincoln Aviator. And so I met him at this shop where they do custom speaker builds.
Yeah, okay.
And
Dude,
what was
this
it
is
called?
going deep, dude.
Higher, was it dynamic?
High definition audio.
High definition, that was it.
And what was the dude's name? Is it
Joe.
Joe. He was the installer and like the nerd that would build these boxes.
Well, shout out to Joe, man.
Yeah.
Like he is killing it. I think I'm still friends with him on Facebook, and I see him here and there.
Yeah.
And he's down in, I think, Florida, like in Miami, and he has like his own shop and everything now.
So he's an audio head, still doing the thing.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I went to Joe and I was like, dude, I want you to take out the back seats of my SUV and build this monstrosity of a speaker box with subs and main speakers and a drawer that would pull out with my turntables.
Oh my god!
In the SUV, and he built it, and like, dude, we would go to car shows and pull up, and I would just pop the trunk.
Are you freaking kidding
and
me?
DJ in the back
Dude.
of
Pimp My Ride.
Yeah,
What?
That's what he was. Pimp My Ride.
Why have we not done that
MTV,
with the
call
freaking
us.
Ozark mix van, dude?
I know,
what are we
could,
doing?
yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, it was
this is
legit.
classic Rev right now.
But then, so me and this guy, he got the idea. We want to put these bright headlights in our SUVs that are, what were they called? HIDs?
Yeah, that was before LEDs.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was like overnight parts from China.
Yeah, dude. I have no idea where these came from.
And we hop
No
in his
idea.
garage and are like hooking it up. And dude, there's obnoxiously bright blue like headlights.
And you can't like you can't dim them now. So
I think they're
it's
like
just-
illegal now, probably.
Yeah, it's super illegal.
But we were like, we're gonna go out here and shoot a video
For YouTube.
for YouTube of showing us with these
Wait,
headlights.
what year is this? Like, we got to put some
2008, maybe.
dude, this was like that. So that's like
2007,
early YouTube.
And I don't know what camera we were using.
probably just some little point and shoot.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
We had no business using. Probably.
But so me and him and our buddy B-Dub, shout out to B-Dub, Brandon, we're like hanging out the window of our car, like shooting the other person driving, and I'm like turning headlights on and
Oh
off
my gosh.
on Walton Boulevard.
downtown
True
Bentonville,
content
dude.
creators,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
And then we're
Early
putting like
stages.
This is
Young
the
Jock
best.
music with the video,
Oh
the
my
intro. It was great. And that video has like
I think it's close to 1 million now.
Are you
it's up there,
serious
yeah.
right now?
views.
What?
I think
It's
it's been on there
still
for
on.
like
it's
like
on your
13 or
YouTube
14
channel.
years.
It's on your YouTube channel, Justin.
I don't even know what channel
Who's
it's on. Dude, that's
Yeah.
so. Like,
Oh my
if you
God,
we have
search
to
it,
find
like,
it.
you can
He
find
had.
it. I'm not even gonna put like
No.
the name of it out there.
No.
But
But
man,
it was just funny. Like we were
It's
doing YouTube.
true.
back in
It's
the
still
day.
up there.
Yeah.
Content.
a
Dude.
lot of haters in the comments
I
for
can
sure.
They were
only
so
imagine.
mad.
Oh.
So mad. These kids with their bright lights.
Like,
Run
there's
me
like
off
death
the
threats
road.
on there. Like, if I saw this, I'd kill you. I'm
Oh
like, wow,
my
dude.
gosh.
Like,
You're like, we're 14,
you
bro.
hate lights,
Oh, we're
dude.
Okay,
we
16,
got it.
dog.
Yeah, we
Hell
were
up,
young,
bro.
doing
Oh
dumb
my
stuff.
gosh.
It was
That's
fun.
amazing. That doesn't surprise me knowing you guys though, man. It
Yeah,
doesn't
and,
surprise
like,
me at all.
MySpace, like we were on there, like
Oh, yeah.
creating like backgrounds and like themes, like before anybody was really making that stuff.
Yeah.
Like we were on I learned so much from him with that, because this dude is like a nerd when it comes to that. He's like, dude, you don't know how to write code? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
I don't know how I learned it. I downloaded a bootleg Photoshop. I was telling you about this to make business cards, and then I would make custom MySpace like backgrounds, and we would take pictures and like Photoshop it and make it.
I can't imagine the Photoshop that we were doing back then.
Yeah.
Like Photoshop 3.
Yeah.
Some of it's still on MySpace. Like if you search DJ
dig,
Rev on MySpace.
If you dig in there, you can find some stuff.
Is MySpace still a thing? I didn't even know you could log on to MySpace still.
I mean, last I heard, they had like shifted to like a music.
That's what I thought too.
World.
Like Justin Timberlake was involved with it or something, and they were trying to do record labels. I don't know. It flopped bad.
That's crazy. Well, you were talking earlier about like how you're working with couples now, because let's fast forward just a little bit now, Justin. So you've come a long way from hanging out the freaking, car.
Hanging out of cars.
Like what you're doing is traveling to different cities in the country. And I want to dive into some of this too, like how you're advertising, because you and I talk a little bit about that, but like catch us up. So you end up going to school to kind of graphic design. That was your thing. And then what happened?
That was when I got a camera, and I was in school like during that time, and I would just shoot random stuff. I would actually use some of the photos I would take for the graphic design classes. And like people even in there were like, hey, can you get some pictures of this for me? And I was like, yeah, whatever. And I would do like just help them with their assignments or whatever with that. And then I was taking mostly nature photos. So like outdoors, mountains, lakes, rivers, like just fishing trips that we would go on and stuff like that. And then this girl, Lydia, that I knew, she was like, hey, like I'm getting married. And I was like, hey, like I don't want to do that at all. I don't want to shoot your wedding.
You're like, I'm out. I'm not gonna shoot this wedding.
Yeah. And I was like, I had no ambitions even before the camera. Like I didn't want to be a photographer. Like I wasn't like sitting in a room like, I want to be a photographer. Like that never happened. Definitely didn't want to be a wedding photographer. And then shot her wedding because she talked me into it. And then went on from there, and like her friends started reaching out, and then other people started reaching out, and then school was just like kind of sitting on the back burner, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I didn't really like enjoy school to begin with. I wasn't like the best student for since like probably 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah.
And I never really knew like what I wanted to do. Like plenty of options, like there's so many things you can do, especially in this area, that you can kind of dabble in, and photography just kind of stuck, and I was like, this is kind of cool. And like I'm trying to like remember exactly how all this went, but went from shooting that wedding, shooting probably like 2 or 3 more weddings, then like my cousin's wedding, like just small little weddings, like nothing crazy. And then eventually just like started ramping up more and more and more, and then I started having people like that I didn't even know asking me to shoot their weddings. And I was like, for the longest time, it was just like friends, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually like it gets out of that, and you're like, okay, now these people, I have no connection with them. You guys just found me on the internet or whatever. And then it kind of just snowballed from that. And now we're...
One thing about me and him that we always talk about is the idea of an office corporate job is like, makes us want to throw up.
Yeah.
Like we can't
there's no way.
A typical 9-to-5 job. So we were kind of at a young age. I never went to college. I just stumbled into this DJ thing and found a way to make money. And then he kind of did the same thing with photography. And I think there's just certain people that don't want to fit into that cog in the machine. It's like we want to build our own path. And I think every DJ is kind of like that.
Yeah. And I think if you have the support, like some support from your friends or whatever to kind of help you like push into that direction, it's a lot easier than just like going in blind and being like, okay, we're going to try this out. But I definitely couldn't do like a 9-to-5. Like
Yeah.
I like the creative space. And
Well, like with me, I did nightclubs for so long, and now doing weddings, like I get excited because it's like, oh, I get to set this stuff up, or you know, I
Right.
get to. It's a different environment, and I know you've done weddings a super long time, and I think you're kind of, I wouldn't say burnt out, like it's your bread and butter,
sure.
but like, what are you doing that's more outside the box of weddings now?
I do. I've done some like commercial work, some things like that. I won't get into like detail of all that, but like, yeah,
What gets you
just
excited?
weddings still get me excited because it's so unknown. Like
Yeah.
you don't know like how the day is going to play out, and you're just kind of, you know, troubleshooting all day. Like we kind of talked about this earlier, but that's what I like about it. Is very like, if there's a problem, how do we fix the problem? If it's raining, what do we do if it's raining? Like,
Yeah.
it's just constantly changing. But honestly, man, it's just serving people. I think that one has like shifted. Like, it's not really, I don't get super pumped about like gear and all that anymore. It's really just about like the people.
Yeah.
And help like serving them and giving them like product that they enjoy and memories that they enjoy, and that can live pretty much forever at this point.
One thing I want to say to all the DJs out there is build a relationship with your local photographers if you're doing weddings, because they're going to get pictures of you DJing, and that's great marketing material.
So good, man.
And they'll just send it to you for free,
Yep, you can
and
just
like
have it.
post that stuff
Yeah,
on your
it's the best.
socials.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best. Well, so Justin, you have a really interesting way that you target. Where I love the way that you've built out your business, because it's almost like the last time we kind of had a conversation like this, I was like, what are you up to? And he was just like, oh, you know, I'm going to this place. I'm going to this place. I'm going to go shoot here. We're taking the family. And you haven't intentionally been like, oh, in June of 2025, I want to take the fam to Vail, Colorado. So I'm going to put my best foot forward in that that way. Or I want to go to Utah, or I want to go to California. And dude, I think that is so freaking cool. Like, because obviously we got to lug around our gears. We can't be traveling to Colorado, but you have a little lighter luggage to carry. Lighter. How are you kind of aligning your life that way?
Yeah. Social media has been like a huge part of that. And obviously like friends too. Some of my friends, they travel and they want to they get married out in California or wherever, and I'll go do that. Colorado and like Utah area has been really good. It's like, I've kind of branched out where it's not just my friends there anymore. So, but I will, like on social media, I like to keep like, if I shoot mountains in Colorado and stuff, like I'll definitely like advertise like for that area rather than just like pushing it locally. Like I'll definitely like take a Colorado photo or Utah photo, and I'll pick the location that I want those to go, and really dial it in for like Denver and like Vail, stuff like that.
And so how are you doing that within, like specifically within the sort of Instagram?
Okay.
You don't have to share all your secrets.
Yeah.
But
like here, I'll just say like what
out,
I think is really good to do. So if you're running ads on Instagram and things like that, I think obviously like finding like your local area is always good. Like keep that moving. But I think who you are reaching to is probably even more important. And with Instagram, you can pick like, so for me, like for instance, I'll say like interior design. Like I'll put that in there.
Okay.
I'll put even like plants, like interior planting, or like not interior planting, but like purses, clothing.
Gotcha.
So you're talking about if you run an ad, it asks you for keywords,
right? So like when it'll ask you like what do you want their interests to be?
Yeah.
And I'll put in just like the most off the wall stuff that I think like people will be also searching for, that might fit my brand.
Your ideal client would be
also interested in this,
Yeah.
right? So like if we just put in there wedding photographers, rings, like simple stuff, like you're really narrowing your audience. Where I think if you kind of branch out into other areas. Like I'll even put like Apple products,
Wow.
like just all kinds of stuff that I think people are also interested
Yeah.
in.
You're just trying to get your product in as many faces as possible for them to kind of see.
For sure, but also targeted towards like people who might vibe with
That's cool.
what we got going on.
I think that's so crucial, and I think people sleep on that. No matter what, like type of creative business that you're in, if you don't know who it is that you're actually trying to create a product for, like you're done.
Yeah.
We host a cohort, and we literally just talked about this today in one of our workshops. It's like identifying your target audience is really the first step.
Yeah.
And you're really shooting in the dark in social media if you haven't done that.
Exactly.
You know? Like it's so crucial. So I love that.
I want to kind of deep dive. Social media is such a big thing now, especially for DJs. Like in the past, we used to have this theory of, well, you got to post a picture at this time of the day for it to get like the most views. What would you think is like, what's kind of like tips or tricks for posting to get eyes on your page?
Yeah, I probably am not the best at Instagram and like posting and things like that, but I also do that just so like I'm not just like constantly on there just like posting and keeping up with comments, because I will reply to almost every comment that comes on there. And I have almost a 2-year-old now, so I'm dad lifing and doing all that. But man, I would say what was your question?
What would you say to DJs to get like more eyes on their page?
I would post like frequently, and only post like good quality content. So I wouldn't post like anything that's just like, this is my opinion, but I wouldn't post anything from like a phone or anything like that from my end. But I also think that there is an aspect of the phone where it seems more real.
Yeah.
Right. So I do think that we're just bombarded with ads that are perfect. Right.
Everything's
dialed in and it's perfect. So I do think there's a side of Instagram, like Reels, for example. Like if I see something that's like over curated, like I'll kind of just want to like swipe
get
from
through it.
Right. But if it's like with a phone or like and it's not perfectly lit and things like that, like I kind of catch myself more into it because I think it's real.
Yeah. I think you can connect with it more like on a personal level, where it's like the other things, it feels like they're trying to sell you something, I guess.
Exactly.
You know?
And it's hard even as like photographers, where it's like, I don't want it to seem like I'm selling to you. So you're kind of playing this yo-yo of like, I don't want you to just pass my stuff because it's over curated. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a tough thing that's just happened with social media.
Yeah. I think one thing that I've noticed with really anybody, but especially DJs, is they'll do social media like this. They'll take like their phone and they'll pan their whole like setup, or they'll like turn themselves and be like pointing at the crowd. And then in their description, it's like, if you need a DJ, holler at your boy, stuff like that. Yep. It's really not even a story. It's like this content okay, cool. We see that you're at this thing and that you're a DJ, but I've just never responded to anything that's like, yo, call me. Like, but it's like what I hear you say is it's really more about the story that you're telling with the content that you're creating.
And that's, I think, that just comes with time, I think. Like it's just, but I think that's where we're at now. I think people are more interested in the actual story rather than just like a piece of content. Like we need like the whole thing. Yeah. So like I rarely ever post a photo of just one photo. It's usually like a carousel of, 3 or 4, maybe even 10. And I'd want more, but Instagram limits us to 10. But I think having that kind of timeline within those photos, I think is beneficial for me.
Yeah.
Maybe for I can't speak on DJ stuff that much as far as what works on there, but I mean you could easily tell a whole story on Instagram.
I remember the early Instagram days where it was like only one photo.
Oh, from your phone.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't upload from a camera.
And then do you remember the crazy like frames and
Yeah.
shadow effects and like all this? It's gotten so much better.
yeah.
It's a different place,
it's
man.
a different it's a different world.
I mean, it really is like you're showcasing so much of who you are.
yeah.
Man, Instagram is such a wild place. And then did you hear just this week, Instagram announced that they like these pages that are taking people's content and they repurpose it, that they're going to find who the original creator is. And that's what that's going to be pointed to.
Yeah.
Like
Really?
you can no longer have a fan page that blows up and you start
You
being
just
able to
pull in
make
other
money.
people's content.
Yeah.
I've always
Yeah.
I never liked that.
Yeah.
I always thought that was kind of odd.
It's weird, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why Instagram even let that happen in the first place. Like,
It's the Wild West, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's a new. I mean, all this is new, so they're
Yeah.
learning too. Like this works, this doesn't work. Hey,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah.
Here's what I think the cheat code is for DJs on Instagram or TikTok. I think it's just blending like an acapella of a song with some other random
Dude,
like a
those are huge.
mashup, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be fancy or scratching. It just needs to be recognizable to people because you see it all the time. And I think it feeds into the algorithm
Sure.
because people are like, oh, that's sick, or the little fire emojis.
It keeps you in.
Yeah.
It does,
Yeah,
man.
keeps you in.
So if all you do as a DJ is press play and blend two songs together that sounds good, like you're gonna get 1 million views at some point. That's what I'm gonna say.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. So yeah, I mean, I think social media in and of itself is how we built our business, Justin. Like I think,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, dude,
That's how we all did.
I didn't do,
We've all
dude,
done
I didn't know anything other than to pick my phone up and start documenting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that's the only way that Ozark Mix did what it did is
Yeah.
that I would, and this was my formula. I started figuring it out. Whenever I would leave the house for a wedding, I would turn the camera on, and as I was driving, I would talk about where I was going.
Yeah.
And I see your posts and I love it. I'm like, it's so great for like people who might be interested in like following you and seeing what's going on, especially for other DJs too. Like
That-
even customers.
That was
clients.
it. I would do that. I would go through the day,
Yeah.
and then at night when
Yeah.
I'm driving home,
Yeah.
I talk about.
your storytelling from the jump.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just like, but I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that was the formula,
And look where you're at.
it was
it
crazy, man. I guess.
It
I
worked.
mean, what was it?
I wanna ask y'all a question.
Yeah,
too.
let's do it. No,
Okay.
you do it. Go.
What do you prefer, or I guess a better way to put it would be like, do photographers ever get in your way? Are we ever annoying?
This
You're
is
like,
really-
please stop.
Okay.
Rev's got an answer, I bet.
Well, so like this past wedding I did, the photographer came. One thing is they're always wanting to plug into, like videographers are wanting to plug into
Right.
our mixers or speakers to catch audio for toasts and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't bother me. Just like come ask. Don't just plug it into a speaker thinking you know how it's gonna go. Like come ask the DJ. And then this guy was setting up a flash like way up in the air and like kind of moving our light stuff around. And I'm like, dude, just
I don't think I've ever touched the DJ
Yeah.
lights before. I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I
that's
think
wild.
I always love, having the photographer around because then I know that our content's going to be in the shot.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
Sure.
but I think what I hear in these crusty DJs, dude, y'all got to get over yourselves with this. But they get so mad at all of y'all's bags and gear
Oh,
being
yeah.
tossed
Yep.
by their
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like, dude, we all have crap.
Yeah, we
It's
all
not
got
like
stuff,
there's
man.
no but what I appreciate about people like you're always like, dude, is it okay if I put my stuff beside you?
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
like,
can I put this
for
here?
sure. Like this space is not mine. It's just
Sure.
where my stuff's at. But not, I love the wedding photographer vibe. I think
Yeah.
that's the thing that I love about the events that we're always all a part of is that there are more than one vendor there. Like
Right.
there's typically, 6-10 people that are trying to pull this together.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think the community that's built within that is why I like private events so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
versus where, you know, the DJ is the only thing, or the
Right.
photographer is the only thing. I just think, you know, it's just cool. So
Yeah, and
I
the
mean,
community
photography-
here is great.
Yeah.
Like everyone, the photographers here are crazy. Like the talent,
Yeah,
wild.
it's really, really nuts.
Like-
How do you? That's one thing I want to ask you about that, because
Yeah.
you're on a different level. You know, obviously, like you've been
No.
doing it a while. Come on,
No,
bro, get out.
Come
of here.
on.
You're on a different level, but at the same time, you remain humble. But how do you look at your fellow
Dude,
photographers? Like, it doesn't feel like it's a competition with you.
I genuinely want everyone to succeed.
Yeah.
Like I do. Like I have like on my close friends group on Instagram, like shout out to the Green Circle people. But like it's full of just like local wedding photographers and vendors, planners, everything. And I genuinely just want everyone to succeed in whatever it is that they're doing. Like anything that my friends sell or create, I will buy it.
Yeah.
Like it may not even be for me, but I'm like, I'll buy it. So for like photographers and stuff, like I get DMs of, you know, hey, what gear is this? What do you think about this, this, and that? And they'll even send me like their work. And they're like, hey, like, what do you think? What could I change about this? Or what do you think? So I'm super into like the community and what I like want. How can I help?
Right.
I'm all for that. And I don't have all the answers, you know, like sometimes I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that the community here is crazy talented. I mean, obviously, like all over the world, it's crazy talent. But for whatever reason, this little area,
It's got some
it's-
bangers, dude.
there's
I don't get
there's
it.
some hitters, man.
They
I'm
are,
like,
dude.
Okay.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah.
The first time that I heard, I was listening to like a Wedding Pro podcast, and the first time that I heard a photographer say this on a podcast, we're like, yeah, I used to, you know, get all of my people, and I would charge like $1,200. And now my average shoot is, you know, 10, 12 grand.
Sure.
And I was like, I about choked. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then she went on to say, and now, you know, I travel the world and it's $25,000 just to have me at your wedding. And I was like, and she goes, yeah, I only do about 10 a year. I'm like, 250 grand.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's crazy. Probably I don't know who you're talking about, but like those guys or those girls who are doing that kind of stuff, they are like building mood boards. It's like a whole process.
it's a thing. I could tell.
Like they're in deep.
Yeah.
Like it is a full time. It's not just 10, 12 weddings. It's like, I guarantee you it is mounds and mounds of work.
Well, she even
posing,
went,
working out timelines, working on, okay, if we're going to go to this location, it's probably like a 3-day deal. Like they can get pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, like talk about that. Like what's the different level? What's the level?
I mean, there's I forget what that bodega. They did this shoot like in Egypt, man. It was crazy. It was like, I think it was a 3-day deal, but they like went as far as like and it was at Giza. So, and they're like, when can we get camels here? When is the light going to be here?
Imagine,
like
dude.
it was like they went on like a safari. Like it was wild.
Yeah.
So like I mean, you can take it as far as you want to go, but you see it in the photos, like the amount of time that went into that stuff. Cause I'm like, there's no way that like you're just pulling this off by showing up that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, and I think that's the thing that sets people apart. Just obviously in anything, but in the creative journey, it's like, really, how much time do you want to dedicate to being who you want to be?
Exactly.
And I think too often, DJs, photography, video, whatever, are just like, well, it's just another day. No, it's not just another day.
It's not just another day.
What if it was not just another day?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
and it's not to your couples.
Right.
It's one of the most important days.
Yeah. So be thoughtful about it. Try to bring your creative A game.
Yep.
Like, I think that's what sets people like you apart. It's just that the time and effort that you're going to put into that next level. And I mean, I remember this person on the podcast. I mean, she was just talking about how big her team was too. That pulled that off.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, like this is next level entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And it gave me this idea that there's a market for that type of photographer,
Yes.
that type of DJ. There's a market for all
For
that.
sure.
And you just have to
Pick that direction.
pick that and go,
and
right?
roll, man.
Like,
Yep.
and I don't know how the ethos of that works. I don't know how to like ingrain that in people's heads, that it's just like, no, like dream up what it is that you want to go be about and do, and like just do that.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. You can, and at this point, you can do
Yeah.
whatever you
I
want
know.
to do.
It's crazy. And I guess we're all pretty, loosey goosey entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah, man. Like,
we're all, let's just quit. We'll go
just-
do something
we'll
else.
go do something
Yeah.
else.
But I think for me, it's always been about like, okay, well, man, I can always go get some crappy job. So like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's just live it.
Yeah.
Send it, man.
I think it would be hard for me not to be, at least in like the photo or video world, though.
Mhm.
Like, I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
And it's just, what are the like 2 or 3 things that you're just like, I can't live without it. This
People,
is why.
the friendships that, like, most of the couples I work with, I'm friends with, like, afterwards. Like, I still keep up with people from like 5 years ago. See them with their kids. And I would say people. I do like the gear. Gear's fun.
It's constantly changing too.
Yeah,
like,
it's constantly growing. It's fun. And I would say like light. Light is probably one of the coolest parts, because it's constantly changing. Everywhere you go, it's different. And just finding, as a photographer, which I know if you're a photographer and you're watching this, you know that life is different as a photographer, because you're constantly just like, oh, that's that nice light over there. Like, you just be out to dinner and you're like, ooh, that's the light.
I'm looking for that
There it
light.
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dang.
That's all the time. Like, my wife, Kate, she's like, yep, that's the pretty light. Like, she knows what the
Yeah.
pretty light is now. And I'm like, yep.
Yes.
So yeah, those 3 things keep you pretty entertained for a while.
Well, it's like, it's interesting being in private events that the story of that's really at the forefront. And like, I think that's what can set people apart. And the tips that I want people to walk away with from today is that like, stop making your content about you, and stop making all this, hoopla about you, but instead turn your attention and make things about other people.
I definitely think you should be like including that.
Yeah.
About the other people and their stories.
Yeah.
At least that's from photographers' end. Like, that's what we're here to do, is to tell our story.
Yeah.
But I do think on social media and like gaining customers, that they do need to know who you are.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
kind of like what you're into.
Yeah.
And having that relationship before they even meet you.
So if somebody, 2 things, Justin, before we bounce, if somebody was just jumping into this wedding space, this private event space as a photographer, videographer, what are the 1 or 2 things that you would tell them to do first that you wish someone would have told you?
Dress for the occasion. Yeah. Dress for the occasion. I typically like wear a suit for weddings. I always kind of just want to really blend in. So I think that's important. And then just don't look back, man. Just go all in. Don't be afraid to be like inspired by others. I've learned, I don't even know how much from other photographers. I've second shot for photographers, like everything. I've learned so much from them, workshops, the whole thing. And I think getting to know your local vendors, I think that's a big one. Go meet with planners, go meet with DJs, everyone. I think you get those 2 kind of rolling, I think you can get going.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, dude, how can people connect with you? And
yeah, man, just hit me up on Instagram.
This man lives on Instagram.
I'm on there.
You got to tell them what your is and what your website is.
Okay. At Justin Palmer Weddings and justinpalmerweddings.com.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're so glad that you joined us today, and we're grateful for you, bro,
Man,
and
stoked.
all the things that we've been a part of with you, man. The experiences continue to, ramp up. So,
Yeah.
man, to all of our DJ friends who've tuned in, man, thanks so much. You can like and subscribe to the podcast. We continue to come out. If you need resources, they're all in the description. Justin, thanks for being here, bro.
Thanks, guys.
We appreciate
It was
you.
great.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
First
man.
time.
Let's go.
See you.